Hey everybody, today I'm talking about Viceroy, which is a board game released in 2014. This one's published by Hobby World. It accommodates 1 to 4 players and takes around 45 minutes to an hour to play. The key mechanisms in this game are bidding, and I suppose you can call it hand management. So this is quite a strange game that is quite unlike anything else I've played before. The setup is going to look a bit like this, where you've got these different coloured cards in the centre and different character cards associated to these different spots. You've got a bunch of different resources here, like these victory points. You've got these scrolls. You've got these cogs and scrolls. You've got these weird colour tokens, and you've got some currency as well. Now, these currency come in 4 different colours. So you've got your red ones, your green ones, your yellow ones, and your blue ones. And something quite important about this game is that it's a closed economy. So there's never going to be any more money that comes into the fold. You've simply got what you've got there. And if you ever end up taking money that isn't there, then you are out of luck. You've got a couple of decks of cards here. So you've got this big stack of character cards, where these have come from. You've got a little backup deck here, and you've got these lore cards here. Additionally, at the start of the game, each player is given a couple of these lore cards. You're going to have 1 character for your hand and 1 to start on your tableau, which is basically going to be a pyramid of cards when the game comes to an end. And they do all different things depending on the layer or level that these cards are built upon. So for example, this Baron card here, which is my starting card, means that when I build this on the lowest level, because again, you're building vertically here, you're going to get a infinite green gem. And all that means is that in future cards, I can choose to basically forsake paying a green gem when I need to. Each player is also going to have a player shield, and they're going to have a number of currency behind it as well. And you've also got this score pad here, which shows all the different ways you can score points at the end of the game. So Viceroy is broken into 2 very distinctive phases. The first one being the bidding phase, where you're going to choose to acquire one of these characters by selecting one colour from behind your screen secretly. So let's say I pick this yellow one here, or the green one, sorry. I'm going to put it in my hand like this in a closed fist, and then I'm going to reveal them at the same time with all the other players. Basically meaning that we want specific characters. So because I bid this green token here, it means that I'm going for the character below the green card. And this applies to all the different cards as well. So if ever a bunch of players have all voted on different characters, then you're free to just take the character you want. But let's say that me and another player both bid green, then we are actually going to end up discarding our tokens to the bank and going to have to bid again. So you're effectively wasting tokens if you keep tying with other players. Now this game does encourage you to have a bit of a discussion to say, which card you're going to go for to try and discourage people from going to certain spots, or to basically bluff that you're going to certain spots. And once that's done, and 2 people have bid the same, or at least 2 or more people have bid the same, then you're going to bid again, and then potentially again for a 3rd time. But if you haven't acquired a card by that 3rd time, then you're going to have a kind of consolation prize of taking 3 different gems from the supply here. Additionally, you can choose to bid with an empty fist, like so, and simply take 3 tokens from the supply here. And again, this is important because this supply is limited, so you want to get in there first to get the colour you want. And once you acquire the cards, everyone's acquired their cards at the end of the round, you're going to take those characters into your hand, ready to be deployed in the next phase. So once bidding is completed, you're going to go into the development phase, which, as I said, is an opportunity to put down the cards that you've acquired, either the character cards that you've bid for or the lore cards which you started with. And there are opportunities to get more of these lore cards into your hand by collecting certain cards. So you're going to have the opportunity to build up to 3 development cards, or take 3 development turns in the development phase, and you're going to have a look at the different requirements of these cards to build. So as you can see here, if I really wanted to build this factor card here, I would have to play a green token, again taking it from behind my screen and putting it into the supply there, and as long as I build it on the 1st level, because that's all I've paid for, I can put it down onto my little pyramid here, and bearing in mind that I need to place it next to one of my existing cards, and potentially in future turns I can start building vertically as well. But when I choose to build vertically, I'm going to have to not only pay the original fee of, in this example, 1 yellow, but in this one you're going to have to pay an additional red because it's on that 2nd level. And as you can see, next to all these requirements, depending on the level, you're going to get a different reward as well. And this is really important because you only get the reward based on the level you've built on and not the previous ones. So let's talk about all the different rewards and things you can get. So I've advanced the rounds a few turns here just to show you an example of all the different things you can get and what the layout of the pyramid will look like. So let's have a look at some of the individual examples of the rewards you can get. So you've got these scroll tokens here, which means that every scroll you have is going to be worth an additional X amount of points depending on what you've got built. So this basically means at the moment, all of my scrolls are worth plus 2 points. And so for example here, this scroll is going to be worth 2 points as it stands. And this is also going to be worth 2 points. And of course, the more scrolls you put down and the more of these modifiers you put down, you're going to get bigger and bigger points bonuses. You've got straight up income here where you get a number of these coins from the supply, depending on the number there. You've got these infinite tokens, which I discussed earlier, which means I can proxy a cost. You've got straight up victory points. You've got things such as drawing more cards from either stack here, so you've got a character stack, or you've got the additional lore cards which you can buy, which I'll discuss in a second. You've got these little gear tokens here. That means when you pass in the bidding phase, you get to take an additional coin for each one of those you have. You've got things such as these extra bonuses here, like this one here means that for every green ring I have at the end of the game, I'm going to get an additional 2 points, because as you can see on all these cards, as you build more and more cards here, you can potentially make colours of these circles to score you more points at the end, because depending on the level that these are on, you're going to get points for. But additionally, as soon as you build these and get a complete circle of one colour, you instantly take one of that income from the supply behind your screen, meaning that you can just bid for more and have more power to build cards. And on top of that, you've got things such as these shields here, which are important because if you ever collect a shield, a cog, and a scroll, you get additional points for a set of those. And you've also got these swords as well, which this card shows here, which you can actually use to kind of jump in front of the queue when it comes to bidding. And also, for every sword you have at the end of the game, you can actually cost your opponents points if they don't have shields to defend themselves. Additionally, in the development phase, you can choose to bid these or place these lore cards for free onto the board here or onto your pyramid, and they do all different things, and you get a lot of choice and kind of flexibility in what you can do with these. For example, this one here, this fair trial card, that means at the end of the game I can get 2 points for each adjacent card next to this one. So for example, at the moment this could be 2, 4, 6, 8 cards because you've got that many cards touching that one. So these are a good way to get more points and offer you lots of different bonuses. For example here, this alchemy card here lets you place a scroll and a +2 modifier onto this card, or you put an infinite gemstone, or take any 4 gemstones from the supply. So yeah, these are good tools to have because they're free and they actually contribute to the different rings and stuff you're trying to build. So once all players have either passed or built up to 3 of their cards, you're going to go on to the next phase where all the existing cards from the former phase are going to go sliding up here, meaning that they're still available for the next phase, but a new bunch of cards are going to come out to start a new bidding turn. And the interesting thing as well is that when it comes to future bidding, and you've got an example here or an area where 2 people might want a red card, but you might want different ones, you can actually come to a mutual agreement and say, like, I'll take the top card, you take the bottom card, and therefore you will not have to waste that red coin for bidding the same as somebody else. And that is essentially how the game is going to play out until you've gone through all of these cards here, and you're going to eventually calculate final scoring based on the sheet, where you've got all different things here, such as the rings that you've built, or the same colour, and depending on the level you're on. You've got these modifiers here, which you can collect, as I mentioned earlier, to give you additional points. You get points for the infinite gemstones and what level they were built on. You get points for your lore cards. You get the straight up victory points. You get your scroll modifiers. For each set of scroll, shield and gear, you get 12 points. And of course, the potential negative points for not being able to defend against swords. And you're going to calculate these points, and whoever's got the most points is going to be the winner. So let's talk about how I feel about Viceroy. So first off, let's talk about the bidding mechanism. So generally, I'm a big fan of bidding and auction style games, and I really love how simple this one does that system. So again, you're only ever bidding with 1 gem from your supply, with the potential of getting the card you want, or of course, if you bid for the same card as somebody else, you're going to have to waste it and go again. So you really have got that idea of playing chicken with somebody. You know, are you going to keep going for the same card and just being prepared to blitz your to blitz your coin and potentially waste a lot of supplies there? Or are you going to just divert and go for something else that you can settle with and actually have your bluff called by the other players? So I do like that system. I like the way it's not complicated, where you're not bidding a number of coins behind your into your hand, and you can reveal 3-4 coins, and whoever's bid the most gets the card. I just like how stripped back it is, how simple it is, and it makes the competition a bit more cutthroat. And that all ties into which strategy you're going to go for in terms of your scoring system, because I love how many different routes to victory this game supplies. So, of course, are you going to go for the straight up big bulks of victory points here? Are you going to go for a big scroll strategy and get all the big multipliers that way? Are you going to try and get all your circles to mix up and get loads of points that way? I've seen it done. All these different routes to victory definitely work, and they're very well balanced. And I will say that's 2 thumbs up for me on how well the system all comes together, and all the different routes do add up. Are you going to collect these different sets of tokens as well? The scrolls, the cogs, and the shields. And you've got to consider all of this, bearing in mind that you're not going to get it all done, and you're not going to be the master in all of these domains. You're going to have to somewhat tunnel vision yourself, but still be diverse enough and being able to pivot based on which resources you have available to you. Because at the start of this game, you're going to feel like resources in terms of these coins are quite flush, but when you start building higher and higher on your pyramid, things start to get rather expensive, because of course, additionally, you're only playing the bottom row, but then you're playing the bottom 2 rows, then the bottom 3 rows, then all 4 rows, and when you want to build on those higher levels. So, and of course you are incentivized to go higher because you get the incentives of the better rewards, but also you get better points for building your circles higher up on your pyramid. And it's a really good thing to rack your brain over. You are not pigeonholed to follow a certain strategy each time. There are certainly lots of different things you can try and things to explore here. I also love how every single card in this game is unique and individual. There's no duplicates. Yes, they are similar in what they do, of course, but all the characters are different, so you're not going to see the characters come out the same in each game. You're going to have different ones bid for each game, and of course you're going to have to manage your resources to be able to acquire the cards you want in the first place, and sometimes you're not going to be able to afford the ones that you want. So not only is the bidding system very simple, but I like the fact that in the second phase, the development phase, you actually get a bit of freedom to build up to 3 cards. So even if you have a wasted turn, if you want to put it that way, of not bidding at all, but acquiring a number of coins from the supply, you can actually choose to start building a couple of cards at once if now you've got the money to pay for that. Because you will find money gets tighter and tighter as the game goes on, and you want to get those bigger and bigger score amplifiers. I'm very happy with the time frame and flow of this game. It only takes, again, about 45 minutes to an hour to play, which I think is great considering the depth and things to try here. I find the game's very engaging, and it certainly doesn't outstay its welcome. You're always involved in the game. There's not much downtime waiting for other people to take their turns, especially in the bidding phase. You're always on the edge of your seat. Are you going to get the card you want? Is there going to be competition for the cards I want? So yeah, you're always involved in this game, and of course you can generally build in the development phase at the same time, as long as there's no disputes in terms of getting the resources, etc. You might have to slow down and do things in turn order, but generally you can do things simultaneously, meaning that all people are going to be involved at all times, which I think is fantastic. I think the replayability of this game is up there because there are so many different things you can try. Of course, all the different ways you can collect points. You can kind of act strategically and try to build towards a particular strategy, but you're going to have to be willing to at least kind of pivot your strategy or tactically maneuver, because if you find another people going for the same cards as you are, then you can actually potentially waste a lot of coins doing that. So you do have to be aware that you might have to divert down a different route and work with what's available to you. Additionally, all the cards are different and unique, and the lore cards add a lot of flavour to the game and give you a little bit of direction depending on what you want to do with your cards from game to game. For example, some cards might say, get an additional point for each matching ring you've got. Or this one, for example, is a bit more a puzzly one, where you want to get this one right in the middle of your pyramid to get those adjacency bonuses. So you're going to see different cards come out each time, and not all the cards are played through from game to game, because there is a bunch taken out. So you're going to have to work with what you've got, which I think is fantastic. And for a 45-minute game, I think that's really wonderful. I like the level of interaction here. It's not overdone, it's not too much in your face, but of course you have got that competition for bidding for the certain cards you want, and sometimes it could be a bit frustrating when you and another person keep going for the same cards. Therefore the third party or the fourth party are constantly getting the cards they want without any kind of interference, so they're getting a lot better kind of productivity and efficiency. But I think that's all part of the fun, and it certainly doesn't hinder the game. Additionally, you've got a very slight amount of interaction in terms of the swords here and the shields to defend, to prevent yourself getting from negative points at the end of the game. So I think it's just the right amount of player interaction here, not too much and not too little. I'm very happy with the production and artwork of Viceroy. I think that particularly some of the character designs are fantastic, really deluxe, very intricate, detailed drawings here, and the characters are very, full of character. They're all very individual and just very professionally done. So I do love the artwork and design on the way these cards look, and that goes not only for the artwork but for the symbology as well. Everything is very clear on what it does, and you only have to read through the rulebook once to know what these symbols do, and then you don't really have to revisit the rulebook because the rules are so simple. In terms of the actual physical quality of the production, again, perfectly fine. Now, these cards are square, of course, which makes them come together nicely in these different pyramids. They are a little bit flimsy, but they are linen finish, so I've got no complaints there. They're not going to get tatty or anything like that. All the tokens are really high quality. These points are great. You get a whole bunch of those in different denominations. These scrolls are really good. You get a bunch of different tokens here, and they're all really durable and nicely put together. The only thing is a slight bit of problem, particularly for me. I am colorblind, and these are very hard to differentiate themselves. And I know they've made a slight effort on making some of the tokens more decipherable, because normally I could not tell these colours apart at all, but they've made a little bit of an effort to put these notches around the rings here so you can differentiate themselves from each other. So I'm quite happy with that little change they made from the earlier editions. But yeah, overall production, artwork, fantastic. So let's discuss some final thoughts for Viceroy. I'm just going to say this game is excellent. I'm so happy with this. Such a simple and streamlined game in a very succinct time frame with so much going on. I love how you can build these pyramids to do lots of different things, get points in lots of different ways. Very happy that it takes 45 minutes. Production's great, looks fantastic. And you know what? I'm always looking for games that feel a bit different. And I can't think of any direct comparisons that I can compare Viceroy to. You've got a very simple bidding system here, but there's something about the overall package that just feels unique and different, and I'm always looking for these kind of versatile style games where you can easily teach this to anybody because the rules are so digestible, but there's some good depth of strategy here and lots of things to explore to keep more experienced gamers satisfied. So yeah, in terms of having a game that can really cater to a lot of different people, I think Viceroy is right up there. I think some people might be a bit deterred by the kind of generic feel of the game in terms of this very generic fantasy. But I like it. It's certainly well done. The illustrations are top quality and very professional. The production is very polished, and I'm just really happy with how streamlined the game is, how accessible it is, how fast it is, and ultimately how fun it is. The different ways you can go for. And you really do find yourself dipping into all these strategies, and you want to get the most you can out of each of those plays. And sometimes you'll bite off more than you can chew, but if you don't, it's very satisfying when things come together. And those additional touches, such as building these rings, add so much enjoyment to the game. It's so satisfying when you put these cards together and you just produce a coin ready to put in your supply to keep you going throughout the game. Very, very happy with this game. Highly recommended, and certainly I think this is a great job of maybe introducing people to these Euro style games. Couldn't recommend it enough. So this one certainly gets a shield of quality from me. That is Viceroy, a bit of a hidden gem, and one I definitely recommend checking out. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you found it useful or at least somewhat entertaining, then please hit like and consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Additionally, if you wish to support the show, because I am a one-man operation and I don't get any support from publishers, then please consider backing on Patreon at patreon.com/chairman of the board, where you can back for as little as £2 per month. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.